Lockdown. Chapter called 1 Year Later, page 244. I've been out of progress for almost 1 year now, and it's harder than I thought it was going to be. It took a lot to get to the point where I felt good about myself, and even once in a while, when I got out, I told myself that I had to think hard before I did anything, no matter how tempting it was or how much it looked like a get over. That didn't work out too tough. Not by myself. Because even though it was the answer I knew I was supposed to come up with, it didn't help when I looked around and didn't see anything that made me feel different than all the other brothers I saw hanging out on the stoops or getting high in the park. The thing was that the streets had their own sense, a different view of what real was all about. I saw people living in that street world and all the time knowing how dangerous it was, how they could slip and fall through 100 cracks that would leave them either dead or in some lockdown. I knew what was happening on the streets and how to deal with it, and even though I had an idea of what was going down in the outside world, I didn't know if I could even really deal with it. But what I could do was keep my mind on Icy and college for her. It wasn't all I wanted in the world, but it was something to live for, and I was cool with it. I looked up Toon, and he's not doing so good, but he's hanging in there too. I told him if he ever thought about hurting himself again, he should call me, and we could go out for pizza or something. Pizza's better than dying, he said, looking down the way he always did. Once we went to the park in Brooklyn and played 2-on-2 basketball and got killed by two Spanish dudes who went to Wogleg. I was mad, but Toon thought it was the funniest thing that had happened, and he lifted me up a little. Toon is all right. A little strange, but all right. I was glad to see him trying to keep himself together. Just looking at us, you wouldn't think about us as being heroic or nothing, but I think sometimes we are. Mom is still Mom. She's about the same, which is better than getting worse. She stumbles through her days, and it's almost like Icy is the woman of the house. Sometimes she makes me breakfast. Her eggs always stick to the pan, but I still eat them. Willis is on Rikers Island. He says when he gets out, he's going to make a rap CD. He knows in his heart that's not going to happen, but he's still running it. I work after school at Evergreen, making minimum wage. By the time I buy stuff for school and food for me and Icy, the money's gone. But at least I'm not stealing. Right after New Year's Day, Mr. Hooft died. He hadn't seemed that sick or anything, but one day he woke up and felt terrible. Simi had seemed to know that he was going to die. Sometimes people know these things, she said. He left a note with the silver soap dish. It read, Reese, keep this for me, and do not get into any trouble. Your friend, Pieter. Mr. Citron called once to see how I was. He said that play was at Bridges in the Bronx and headed for the Highlands upstate. He said that it made him sad to hear that. I believed him. Sometimes at night, ICU came into the living room where I slept, where I sleep, and sits on the ends of the couch, and we talk. She tells me about her plans, I tell her about mine. I make up stuff for her, and sometimes we pretend together. IC believes in herself big time, and you can see it when she talks about going to college, becoming a teacher or a lawyer. The longer I stay out of trouble, the more I'm beginning to believe in myself, too. It's okay. Like, something good could happen. I know in my heart that my life could still end up in the gutter or in jail. But like Mr. Cintron said, I know more than I used to, and I'm stronger, too. I know what I gotta do for Icy, and I know what I gotta do for me. And I'll do it as long as I can and hope for the good parts.